All right. Hi, I'm so happy to see everybody. My name is Hana Boston. Greg, who's a very good friend of mine, was gracious enough to have me come and speak to you guys. So I'm obviously pretty dynamic speaker, and I like to keep it pretty casual. So it's not going to be like me talking at you. I want to hear what you guys have to say too, but I'm going to start talking at you first. So I am currently, I have a lot of jobs. I was just talking to Greg about how many jobs I have. I'm currently working at Coursera as their product counsel. And usually when I tell people that, they say, what is a product counsel? And so basically, the best way I can explain it is I do a lot of herding cats. You know, it's a huge cross-functional position. So I work with product, I work with engineering, I work with legal, I work with finance. You name it, I'm in the mix. Any type of new product or service that they're releasing, any updates to old product services, I work with marketing a lot for content, and there's a lot of legal regulations surrounding the marketing of products and what you can do. And in the educational tech space, it's one of those areas that it's emerging. It's still considered an emerging market. It is definitely a lot more set and than the legal tech space, which I came from, which I'll talk about in a second. But there's a lot of regulations around for-profit universities and what they can't do. And though Coursera technically falls outside of that, the regulators sometimes don't see it that way. So I work a lot with marketing, a lot of content, product design, you know, where the button goes on the page. That's pretty much what a product counsel does. And it's a very interesting road to get there. So we're going to talk about that. I also own and manage my own law firm. I'm an immigration attorney by trade. And so I do that as well. On the side, like, do you run a law firm on the side? I guess I do. I run a law firm on the side as well. I focus mostly on family-based immigration, so helping people get their naturalizations, green cards, bring their family members over. But I started my career in the trenches, like stopping planes from taking off and doing a lot of like asylum and court cases and deportation defense. So I just told you most of that. So I'm from Houston. I was just telling Greg, I guess whoever came to speak with you guys last week from PlayStation, he totally is from Texas and went to my undergrad, same undergrad, Trinity University in San Antonio. So, hey, cool, alumni. I did my Bachelor's of Science in International Business there. I was a double major in Spanish. After I graduated from undergrad, I moved to Spain for a while, 3 years or so, where I did my master's in Spanish through New York University. So I'm bilingual, although I am not Latina. And then at that point, I told my parents there was no way in hell I was ever going to become an attorney. And I had to eat crow because I came back and I ended up going to law school. So the reason what we're gonna talk about today is we're gonna talk a little bit about my very strange and weird journey to get to where I am now. And I hope that at the end of it, you guys leave and you feel a little bit like better about where you are, right? Because you don't have to know. If you don't know, if you know where you're going, awesome. I didn't. I just knew that I like to do this and I like to do that. And I was like, let's just do a couple things and see how they fit together so my parents don't kill me. But if you don't know exactly where you want this to go or where it's going to take you, that's totally cool too. So I hope that at the end of this presentation, at the very least, you say, okay, I'm good. She had a really crazy journey and she got here. I can also get here too. So speaking of that, I have this career side to show you all the things that I've done. So I read somewhere that the average person has like 5 careers in their lives. And I started thinking about it. And I was like, yeah, I definitely have had at least 5 careers in my life. So, you know, right now I'm a product counsel, immigration attorney. I also teach at the College of Healthcare Professionals. So I teach medical law and ethics to a medical assisting program. I'm a software developer. One of the ways that I got into tech from immigration, I answered a Craigslist ad, and it was for a company here in San Francisco. What I explained to people is they were like the TurboTax of immigration, right? So if you think of TurboTax, raise your hand. Who knows TurboTax? Just make sure I'm talking. Okay, so TurboTax, for you all that don't know what TurboTax is a software to help people file their taxes, right? And it takes you through a wizard, so a step-by-step with questions. And at the end, you're supposed to be able to file your taxes. The idea is to make it like a DIY, do it yourself, and easier, right? So this company I was working for had a similar product. And they actually originally called me in for the interview, and I got the job to be a subject matter expert, because they had the engineers building out the platform with the forms, but they needed an immigration attorney to inform them about what it was. So that's where I started. Well, I quickly realized that they needed a lot more than that. And it was a startup. So you know how startups go, you do it all, right? And so I went in as a subject matter expert, and I came out, ended up building up their entire compliance program, flying across the world. I flew to India and to Europe to train the customer service and sales teams in compliance. And then in TurboTax, it says at the end, hey, would you like an accountant to review your paperwork? Because you did on your own, just to like make sure it's okay. At the end of this particular software, they wanted an attorney review. So they actually asked me to leave my job. And build out an attorney network, which was really, really, really scary. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, what? You're like, I like my job. Now you want me to leave and you want me to do something, and I don't even know what this is. And it was really frightening, but I did it because I knew that that opportunity was one that was only going to come that one time. And if I said no, I would have missed out on something really big, right? So I did it, fear and all. I jumped. Wow, I researched. Then I jumped, and I had a good contract. Then I jumped, and I did it. And I ended up realizing very quickly, they wanted me to build out the process. But if I built out the process and they built the structure to go under it, they would own it. They would own the technology. So I found some engineers. I pulled a whole lot of friends together. I got tapped into my network. I was here in San Francisco, saw who was doing like, hey, I'm trying to do this. What's up? And I ended up actually developing my own software as well. So I can add software developer to my list as well. Yeah, and then corporate trainer and then career advisor. So before I became an attorney, I actually used to teach people how to get jobs. And I thought that's what I wanted to do. That was what I wanted to do, but then life happens and things changed. So I also have been a career coach, teaching people how to network, do resumes, etc. So all that to say, and I'm not that old. Just saying, I'm not that old. All that to say is there's been a jam-packed few years, and I just kind of flowed, and today I can honestly say that every single career that I've had, every single thing that I've done, I use on some level. So, cool. Oh no, I messed that up. Hold on. Bam. So all that to say, look, success, those memes that are on online, like this is what people think I do, this is what I really do. I like this because this is so true. You see someone who's successful or where you want to be, and you think like, oh, they just went to school and then they got this job and now they're there, right? That is not how it works. There's a lot of ebb and flow. There's a lot of heartbreak. There's amazing highs, but then you come down to low, and it's really a journey. So like I said at the beginning, as we start talking, help me keep time, Greg, because I'm terrible. I'm quite loquacious. As you're thinking about your journey and where you want to take your career, just know that there's not really you can't really make a mistake as long as you research and you focus and you dedicate yourself to whatever it is you're doing. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips lessons I've learned to share with you all about how to get there, like in the mental space to do that. lessons learned. The first is, look, oh, you can hardly see it. I say be bold, and then it's like clear. Well, you should be bold. Don't be like that. Be bold. Be bolder than that. Be bold. Look, you sometimes you have to volunteer for that position. I know when I joined the legal tech company, when I first moved to San Francisco, literally 3 months after I moved my entire family across the country, there was a project that came up to go open up retail stores back in Texas. And I didn't know anything about opening up retail stores. And you have to do a proof of concept. I had no idea, but I was like, look, I knew that I was the only person that was going to be able to get it done because they needed the knowledge I had. So I was either going to be doing it from here painfully, or I was just going to have to jump in. So I volunteered to go back to Texas for another 3 months while we built out this proof of concept. I succeeded. It ended up falling apart in contracts, which I was not a part of, but in negotiations. But you know, that was a time when I like stuck myself out there, and I was just like, I'm gonna do it because I think that I can. And even if you was there self-doubt? Yeah, of course. We always doubt ourselves, right? I was talking to a colleague of mine today who just interviewed for a management position. And I was like, how did it go? He's like, oh, I think I could have done better and this and that. And I'm like, we are our own worst critics, right? So be bold, put yourself out there, talk about what you're doing, talk about, you know, you say talk about yourself, you know, you don't want to be braggadocious, right? But talk to people, let people know what you're doing, let people know what you're interested in, and like volunteer, set yourself up for success. Be brave. Look, the number one thing over the course of my life, and this isn't just in career, that I find that keep most people from doing anything is the fear of change. Okay. But the only thing constant in life is what? Change. So yeah. Now, when I say be brave, I'm also not saying like jump off a cliff and not look at what's under there. You know, you want to make sure that you can like land on something soft, right? But start from a place, and one of the things I tell myself is I try to start from a place of yes. You know, in anything. Hey, you want to go out to, I don't know, this concert or whatever. Start in my mind mentally from a place of yes. What you'll find is most people do the exact opposite. Most people start from no and then have to try to convince themselves to yes. That's a much heavier lift. If you start from a place of yes, you might get to know. You might get to know. It might not make sense. I might be tired. I might be exhausted. I might have something to do in the morning, but I can start in a place of yes. And then it just changes your whole mental perspective on the opportunities that are there. So be brave. Be authentic. Look, one of the things I realized in grad school, more than undergrad, I think, and as you go into the workforce, a lot of you all have been in the workforce or going back to school after working. No one likes fake people. No one likes fake people. No one wants to work with them. And then sometimes I read a book. I don't remember which book it was, or I would tell you, I have to think about it. But it was like, do nice guys really finish last? And the book said, yes, in the short term. Because it looks like the people that are cutting corners, being fake, manipulative, you know, just doing bad stuff, right? It seems like they come out on top, right? And so the book is like, well, they do come out on top in the short term. But what happens is the relationships that they kill along the way, the trust that is lost along the way means that eventually they actually come out pretty much on the bottom because no one wants to work with them, you know? Now, you know, what was it, Dave Chappelle, when keeping it real goes wrong, right? Like, there's a line, okay? There's appropriateness. I cannot say I always follow it. I definitely have fallen on the wrong side of that a time or two, but just come to work, have your interactions with your colleagues, with your with the fellow students, just be honest and be real, because it says a lot and people really, really respond well to it. And those that don't, probably fake anyway. All ethics matter, okay? So my grandmother used to tell me, integrity is not what you're doing when people are watching. Integrity is what you're doing when no one's watching. Again, it plays into that relationship piece, right? If people can't trust you, it goes so much further. And trust is really hard to build and really easy to lose. And once it's gone, to get it back, I mean, not impossible, but think about the people in your life who have lost your trust. How many of those people do you let back in? And if you do you let them in at the same level? Are you always kind of keeping an eye on them? You don't want to be that person. So, pay attention to ethics in marketing in particular, because I talk to a lot of marketers. Look, I know how important that click is. I know how important that conversion is. I know that is like what keeps you up. I know that one word, changing it, and you see a big reaction. I understand, but it's how you present yourself and your ethics and the ethics that you put in your work, it matters. So just always remember that, And you all know, that little voice inside of here, like, I don't think this is a good idea. Listen to it. And that leads me to trust your instincts. There have definitely been more than a few times in my life when I've had to, when something was like, I don't think this is a good idea. Something's not right here. I don't know if you should really trust that person. And when I looked at it logically, I couldn't necessarily see logically a specific reason, but just something didn't sit right with my soul, right? And the times that I have not listened to that instinct have been the times that I have fallen on the wrong side. Now, sometimes I listened and nothing happened and it ended up being okay, but that's fine because I didn't lose anything there. But more often than not, those times when I did not listen to my instinct, I ended up in a pretty terrible position. So trust your instincts. They're there for a reason. Fight or flight, we're humans. Your body's trying to protect you. Listen to it, okay? And that goes for the good and bad. I know usually we say trust your instincts when something bad happens, but trust your instincts if you feel like there's something like good there too. Like do your research. I'm not telling you guys to just jump, like I said, don't jump off a cliff and not know what's at the bottom. But also listen to the good things too. And don't let that fear of change, that fear of failure stop you from exploring something that could be an amazing opportunity as well. Never stop learning. I learn all the time. I literally have taught myself in the last few years how to do beading work, knitting, what else? I do all kinds of weird, crazy stuff. I do like, I said I wasn't a crafty young lady. I was gonna be a crafty old lady. So I'm turning myself into a crafty old lady every day. But yeah, always learn. My husband is a huge news junkie and the news is just really depressing to me sometimes. But always, if you have an idea of where you want to go, the field you want to be in, the things you want to explore, research, look into it, stay on top of the trends, know what's happening, be able to speak intelligently about something. I know that when I was sitting where you guys are sitting, like when I was in grad school, law school, I used to tell myself, I am going to become an expert in something. I didn't know what, because I didn't know I was going to be an expert in. But I was like, I am going to learn something so that I am an expert in something. And that was my goal. And I feel, I'm sure there's other experts out there, but I feel like I've gotten there to at least in something, So have your goal, keep learning. Don't be afraid. You guys are all here in school, so I don't think this is a big deal that you don't understand this. But after you go through a really rigorous program, I was just talking to Greg about how like law school stole my soul. And kind of killed my joy of learning. I literally did not read a book for pleasure for like a year and a half after I left law school because I was just so over it. But don't stay there. Don't stay there. Okay. And then the last one is don't be a jerk. Okay. Again, it goes to that your reputation is so much more important than I ever really understood that it was until I started going out and working in different industries. Your name follows you. What you've done follows you. Your reputation follows you. So just try to treat people like with a modicum of respect, and those that don't treat you with respect, get very professionally nicey with it. and it'll be fine. You know what I mean? Always treat people with respect. If they don't treat you with respect, you write them down in your head, in your mental bank, and you keep on moving. But don't be a donkey face. All right, what can you do now? So one of the things that come up a lot when I was a career coach and when I'm talking to people that are looking to get their career started is networking. So I want to tell you what networking is not. I'm not going to, people always start with what networking is. Let's talk about what it isn't. Networking is not asking for a job, okay? Networking is also not asking someone about information to find a job either, right? It's like, well, I didn't ask for a job. I just, we went out to eat and I was asking like what they knew and, all these things, right? So you got to flip your switch in your head about networking. For me, networking helped me build my software. I reached into my own personal network. I found a product designer. I found some engineers. I found someone to help with marketing and SEO. I found Greg's wife, who actually was my assistant and helped me build it. I wouldn't have been able to do it without her.
I designed the logo.
Greg designed the logo. You sure did design the logo. And that's just one of them. I have like several. So we really reached into our own network. So networking is also not about these people that you don't know. Networking is also about reaching into your own network. And I think that gets left aside sometimes. You'd be surprised at how many people you know and what they do. And then the other thing I would tell people is, look, one of the things you can count on almost always is people who love to talk about themselves, right? So one of the things that I do when I teach people how to network is I say, look, if you find someone that is someone you want to get more, learn more about, you want to be where they are, don't call them and ask them if their company has a job opening. Call them and take them out to dinner if they have time, or have a coffee with them if they have a time. Jump on a Zoom call, 5-minute Zoom call, and ask them about themselves. How did you do this? What are you passionate about? Where did you see yourself? How did you get here, right? Number one, it totally takes off the pressure, right? It doesn't make it seem like you're trying to get something from them, because no one wants to feel like you're trying to get something from them, especially someone you don't know, right? But number two, it gives them an opportunity to really tell you things that you might not know about. You might not know how they got that job. You might not know how what studies they took. You might not know what their journey looked like, right, to success. So it also gives you a chance to really learn more about them. So at the very least, kind of, if you take nothing else away from this one, think about, just change your chip when it comes to networking and think about who's in your personal network. And the next time you find someone who's not in your personal network, go approach it by learning about them. And then stay connected. I'm not the greatest at it, and that's why I'm preaching it to you, because I something I want to be better with. You meet someone who's really amazing and awesome, and you have that connection, drop them a line, send them a handwritten note. I know, whoa, what? Handwritten? You know what I mean? It matters, and it makes you stand out. I send edible arrangements to get apartments, so I believe. In San Francisco, I've definitely had to send an edible arrangement or two to get an apartment, but yeah, just, stay connected, reach out to them, just remind them that you're here, because it's a lot where you have this amazing moment and you're really connected and then you don't reach out. And then 2 years later, a year later, 6 months later, you see this amazing opportunity that at their job or something, and then you're going to reach out and they're going to be like, dude, really? For real? So try to stay connected, make that a goal, and really try to work on it. It's not easy. Some people it's easier than others. It was never easy for me. You get busy, time, etc. But try to stay connected. Test the water. You find someone that's doing, if you don't know what you want to do, try a lot of stuff, right? Volunteering is a great way to do that. Nonprofits hardly ever tell people to go away. I know internships, yes, interning is on my list. It is important, but I think that if I had it to do all over again, if I knew then when I was sitting in you all's shoes, what I know now, I would have definitely maximized a lot more of my volunteer work, because internships are competitive. And while they're great, and I did those, and I'm happy that I did it, and it was definitely helpful in my career and in my life, I would have also been able to expand my network through volunteering. You're also with volunteering, you tend to meet people that are, I wouldn't say that people in other jobs aren't passionate, but if you're working in a nonprofit, you're kind of passionate about it because there's not a whole lot of money in many nonprofits. So definitely like volunteer and spend your time there. Plus you're giving back, and that's good. Join an organization, you started, you're at the USF Marketing Association, right? Graduate Marketing Association. So that's good. Find other organizations that you can be a part of. Join a lot of times when you're a student, they have you don't have to pay as much to be part of organizations. You get like the student discount. Take advantage of that. And really like get yourself out there. Also a great place to meet people and get an idea what you want to do. Research, at the end of the day, you're going to have to put in some time, put in the elbow grease. I know after studying all day, the last thing you're trying to do is research other stuff. I get it, but you have to put in the legwork. And then know thyself, right? Think about, I think it's very important. Matter of fact, my supervisor told me the other day, he said, because I started Coursera at the end of June, so still fairly new, getting to know my colleagues. And my supervisor during our one-on-one, he's like, when people ask me what it's like to work with you, I tell them you're very introspective, right? Like, yeah, I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I own my mistakes. I learn from my mistakes, and I admit my mistakes. But it's not just admitting, knowing and admitting, but it's also like, what can I do better? How can I not make that mistake again? What are my weaknesses in this area? How can I improve in this area? Like, it's some hard soul searching, and it's hard to like turn the mirror towards yourself, but you got to do it. Know thyself, because if you don't know who you are, how the heck is anybody else going to? Discover your passion. We talked a little bit about that. I think that there's so many times in life when I meet people and they're just doing what they're doing because their parents told them to, or because their spouse told them to, or because they think that's the way that society thinks that they should act and respond. But after they get there and they do that, they're supposed to be happy and successful, right? And maybe they have advanced in their career, but they look around and they're like, I'm miserable, because they're doing something that doesn't make them passionate, that doesn't make them like excited. Look for those things. They're there. You might have to take some job to, get the experience, but keep looking, and don't forget your passion. And then the last one is phone a friend, a good friend, right? Not those fake friends. Be authentic. So talk to someone who and you trust, and ask them these questions. Look, I really respect your opinion. I think that you are a very wise person. You've known me for a long time. Where do you think that I could, what do you think about me when you think about me? If someone that doesn't know you asked you to tell you about Hana, what would you say about her? Funny, when Greg asked me to come and speak with you all, he said something to me, and I never thought about myself that. He's like, I think you're a good self-promoter. And I was like, I had to take a step back. I was like, am I? And because I didn't really think about myself that way. But then when he said it, because I'm a nerd, I started researching what is a self-promoter. And I was like, oh yeah, I do that. I can do that better. Well, maybe I should try this, right? And then I asked a friend who I trust, who's known me in a professional and a personal setting. And I was like, yeah, so-and-so said I'm a good self-promoter. She's like, oh yeah, I would definitely have said that about you. I was like, really? So here's something that, then this literally happened like a few weeks ago. And you're changing and you're learning and you're becoming better. And so it's a journey. And that's where to find me. Link up with me on LinkedIn. Link up on LinkedIn? No? Okay. Anyway, come on, marketing people, tell me, how am I doing? But yeah, that's where to find me. I'm happy to answer any questions. And yeah, I'm gonna stop talking and let you guys talk now. Is there any questions?
Those are, if you haven't already followed our lesson on LinkedIn or added us on Instagram, the next one, you can scan those to stay in touch with all the next events, and catch it when we tag people and say, thank you for coming and speaking at the well. You can get that post too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anybody have any questions for me? I will answer questions about whatever. Yeah, tell me.
So you spoke a lot about networking and connecting with people. So I have a question about. So one thing that I'm looking for is about reconnecting with people in the past. So for example, I have an old boss I haven't spoken to in years. So he's a really nice guy, kind of like a mentor. But now I'm finding it difficult
to reach out.
Yeah, reach out, and he's moved on, and I've moved different directions. So
rip off the Band-Aid. I understand I understand your position. I understand finding that difficult. But again, if you think about networking as in not asking him for something like, hey, I'm just about to graduate from grad school and I decided to call you, right? That doesn't feel, that has a funny feeling to it, right? But if you reach out and say, you know what? I was sitting here thinking about like some of the greatest bosses and things in since in my work career and people that I really appreciate and that really like made an impact on my life. And I just wanted to reach out and see how you're doing. What's going on? You want to grab a coffee? Let's talk about you. That's a much different feeling than saying, hey, I'm about to graduate, you got a job kind of thing, right? That's my recommendation. Yeah.
So, like, you have had a wonderful career, and you mentioned that you were married. How are you able to balance having, like a family and personal life, and then also having such an amazing career?
That's a great question, and the answer is it's a constant balancing act. Complete disclaimer: I don't have any children, because I think children throw a whole lot of extra into that equation. But one of the things that I have had to do is I have personally had to understand when I need to turn off. Like I said, I work in 3 jobs. I'm not really trying to work 3 jobs, okay, forever. It's just in a situation right now where I can't really give any of them up. But so my example of when I learned this, I was at a job that I hated. It was my first, the person who I was working for is actually a mentor of mine, but she was not a great boss. Okay. I'm talking like coffee mugs getting thrown in my direction kind of thing, right? We've come to a happy place now, but it wasn't so good at that point. And I'd already started looking for another job. I was at my max, right? I was done. And so because I was so done, I started saying, I am not staying here until 9 o'clock every night. I'm going home at 6, right? I'm going home at 6 every day. I'm not staying here a minute or time over because I was pissed, right? And what I found was that because I gave myself, and I'm not working on weekends. That was the other thing. And I'm not working on weekends. Rah, rah, rah. I hate this place, blah, blah, blah. But what I found is that by giving myself a time to stop and by putting boundaries around my personal life, I was actually more productive. You know, I was actually able to get more done because I knew that I had to. It wasn't an option to do bad work, right? I wasn't trying to get fired. Okay. And I'm a lawyer and I'm an immigration lawyer and I care about my clients. So I'm also not trying to do bad work because it's people's lives on the line, right? But I learned that putting those boundaries up actually helped me do better. It didn't make me like the job anymore. I was done. But had I maybe taken, and I have done that since that job, had I taken those same ideas and applied them when I was happy, maybe I wouldn't have been so unhappy so quickly, right? That's one thing. Another thing is this, and I do give talks to people about work-life balance, right? I give presentations on work-life balance. And Greg, remind me to tell you what this book is. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Work-life balance book.
Okay, work-life balance.
And I'll have him send it out to you. There's a book, and the way that this author explained it to me was just like an aha moment. And he said this. He said, most people spend the majority of their time doing things, where they look at work-life balance as a time thing, right? And they spend the majority of, so they say time, right? So I have 24 hours in a day. I have my calendar. This hour to this hour, I'm doing this. This hour to this hour, I'm doing this, right? The problem is all time is not equal. Your 11 to 12 time is not the same as your 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. time. Yeah, technically they're both an hour, but you're not the same at 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. as you are at 11 to 12. So then if you stop thinking about time as hours, as units, and start thinking about it as energy, it kind of flips your switch. So think about, when I say that like this, your energy, your hour of energy from 11 to 12 is way higher than your hour of energy from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. Your hour of energy, if you have children, that time that you spend with your children, which is important, it's not the same if your energy's super low. You're not giving them the same amount of attention. You're not giving your spouse the same amount of attention if you just program that in at the end of a long day when you've been studying and you give them that hour from 7 to 8 after you've been in class all day, after you've been working, right? Your energy is not the same. So the time that you're giving is not equal. So how do you combat this? Make sure that when you're looking at your schedule, and I have started doing this and it has helped, when you're looking at your schedule and you're factoring in your time, make sure to factor in things that feed you, give you energy, and not just things that take away your energy. You like playing basketball, you know what I'm saying? That's something that you go and you feel good and you feel pumped and you're ready to move, right? But you only do that 1 hour a day. And maybe you can only do it 1 hour a day. I know I can't play basketball more than 1 hour a day. But that hour, that unit of energy, that hour, that's feeding you. That's giving you another hour somewhere else where you can, that's gonna take your energy and it's giving you balance. And that's really been something that I've been doing in the last couple of years that has really changed it. You know, they talk about mental health time and me time. And those are all just words on the page, but no one really tells you how to schedule it, right? No one tells you how much is enough. The book says try to give the same amount of things that, try to factor in the same amount per week of things that take away your energy as things that feed your energy. That's tough. You know, there's a lot more things that take your energy. But if you just try and kind of think about it instead of like units of time as units of energy, that's helped me out a lot. That's a good question. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you for coming. I feel like I really need to hear one of the two of the things, especially the nice guys finish last in the short term. because we know some not so nice guys.
Yeah.
Story for later, everyone, but, are you able to talk about, I think you were telling me about a top secret Coursera thing that you were working on, I wasn't supposed to tell anybody.
Oh, it's out now. I can talk about it.
No, you can talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah,
think we want to hear some about like, what's going on at Coursera, you know?
yeah, for sure. So, so I started working at Coursera. First of all, let me talk about how I got this job. I had actually, I wanted to be a product counsel. I wanted to get back in tech. I had applied for lots of jobs in tech. I was getting no calls back, or I was getting, because I do have a good resume, because I did 2 jobs to do resume. So I had a good resume. So I was getting the calls and I was getting the interviews, but I wasn't moving past the interviews. And so I was like, all right, well, I think the problem is I don't have enough experience in a large company. So I started contracting with Deloitte. Actually contracted with Deloitte for a year doing something else, tech-ish, but not really tech, e-discovery, and had accepted a full-time position with Deloitte, who was paying me like way less than I'm worth. Okay. But I took it because I'd already been contracting with them. There were benefits, benefits. And I was like, all right. 2 weeks after I accepted that position, someone found me on LinkedIn, one of the recruiters from Coursera, and asked me to apply. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really awesome. So I applied, I got the job. I started at the end of June. 2 weeks after I started, my boss comes to me and he's like, yeah, I want you to be the lead attorney on this huge partnership we're doing with Google. Wow. And I was like, oh, okay, yes, be bold, right? Oh yeah, absolutely brave, right? Okay, sure. And tell your boss, but I was like, oh my God, but I don't know anybody here. I don't even know all the products. I don't know what's going on. And I jumped in. And so I guess it's been about, it was the 26th, I believe, of October. We just partnered with Google to offer Google career certificates. There are 5 career certificates. I think it's IT, system administrator, and some other stuff that I can't think off the top of my head, but 5 Google career certificates for free to community college students, students that are in career and technical education high schools, and also other students of four-year university. The school has to sign up for it, so if you guys are interested. The school has to sign up for it, but then it's free for the students. So that was a huge, big deal. We already had the Google certificates. The relationship with Google and Coursera was before me, but this has been a really big push. And during this time, so like I said, I walked in and I had no idea what I was walking into. I had no idea what it felt like to partner with a behemoth like Google, who has all the power, right, in that relationship. So what Google says, Google gets, right? That was a very weird position for me to be in and to work with. But we were able to get it done. We actually got all of the four-year universities and community colleges in Connecticut have already joined the program. There's the Anaheim School District here in California joined the program. And that was really interesting because I had to figure out K through 12 laws, completely different. No idea. Nobody at the company had even figured it out. So I may have found another niche for us to move for in the future. So that's been a really big, exciting thing going on at Coursera. Another big thing at Coursera right now that I'm Product Counsel, so I have a hand in pretty much everything on some level. I'm doing our terms of use updates, which is not that exciting, but I find it exciting. So I'm doing that across the board, but we're also doing skill sets, and we're also including a kind of a career portion to it as well. So if you go on Coursera and you end up taking a certificate course and you're looking for a job, they're building right now links to help you get in contact with employers who are accepting that certificate as a proof of your experience in education. Yeah. So those are just a couple of things, but it's really exciting. It's fun. It's my dream job, and it's awesome to be able to say that. I believe in education. Education has changed my family. You know, education's changed me, and it's a really great company to work for. Good question. Thank you.
Any other question? In Zoom world?
Oh.
Screenshot your attendance in Zoom. Free.
Hi. Anybody in Zoom? I don't know. How do I find out?
Yeah, we're there.
Hi.
Hi, thanks a lot. And it's been a really nice, sort of inspiring opportunity for us, really. That's all I can say. That's just my comment.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll open up the screen so you can see
Oh,
who's
okay,
talking.
okay. I can't, oh, I can't see. So I'm looking in here and he's here. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh.
Anyone that talks should be able to.
Oh, sweet. But I'm looking here.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah.
Anybody else in Zoom world have a question for me?
Oh,
I have a question.
Sure.
First of all, Hannah, I love the way you talk, and the session was so nice. A lot of times people, when a woman is bold and, you know, you have changed a lot of careers as well, a lot of people find it intimidating. So did you face any challenges? And if you did, then how did you face them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Yeah. The reason I'm thinking about it is because it's something that I personally have had to deal with a lot. I am an African-American woman, for good or worse. Yes, women being bold is a problem. And then there's the added thing of being a Black woman and in business, and the stereotypes that go with the scary Black woman, you know, in business as well. I have found this. On one hand, I have definitely, while I keep that in mind, and while I try to keep my relationships with all of my colleagues in a way that is congenial, at the same time, that is not enough to silence me if I feel strongly and passionately about something. Over the course of my career, I can definitely say that I have learned how to express myself in a way that I feel is the most, that'll get the most return, right? So sometimes I have to scream. Sometimes there's a place and time to show that passion and be really, you know, out front about it. But at the end of the day, I am trying to accomplish something, right? I either get what I want, get what my boss wants, right? Get what my client wants, or achieve something. And so knowing your audience, knowing who you're speaking to, knowing, just getting that feel for who you're with and who you're talking to, that goes a long way. With that said, there's only so much I can do for myself, right? If someone feels threatened by me, if someone feels that women should not have a place and be bold and clear about what they want and their ambition and their goals, then maybe, you know, depending on who that person is, that is not necessarily someone that I would count in my corner. And that's okay. Everybody don't get to get all this, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely understand that hesitation, but I challenge you and every other woman that's in business to, while you can, like, there's no way to not keep it in consideration, don't let it stop you, and don't let it keep you from pursuing passionately and, you know, your goals and what you're trying to achieve.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah, that was a great question. Thank you. Yeah.
So you were talking about your boss being a good mentor, but not a good boss.
Yeah.
So I was in an organization where I really liked the work which I did, but I really did not like the atmosphere around me because there was a lot of, you know, internal politics. There was a lot of, you know, bossing me. the same situation, he must have been a great mentor for me, but not a great boss or
Right.
not a great manager.
Right.
But the thing which was very difficult for me is that I loved the work which I did. And that is the whole reason why I did not wanted to leave that organization. So if that were you, what would you be doing?
That was me. That's a great, thank you for sharing your story. That was definitely me. I loved what I was doing. I loved immigration. I loved helping people. That was my passion. And I decided that for my own, I mean, there's a lot of ways to handle it. Me personally, my decision was best for me to leave and to take that passion and apply it somewhere where I didn't feel bad about working, you know? Sometimes you don't have that option.
Right.
You know, sometimes you can't leave. You have family, you have bills. There might not be that opportunity other places. Then in that case, I would say, try to find a way to keep yourself in the middle, right? Like try to find a way to keep your own mental balance and your own self-preservation. Because at the end of the day, if you just let someone take all your energy, you have nothing left.
Right.
You know, now with that said, I would also be constantly looking for opportunities to get out of that situation, right? And it might not be something that comes up right away. So in the meantime, like, how do you stay sane while you're dealing with a crazy person?
Yeah,
You
makes
know,
sense. Yeah.
so that's how I handled it. And then, at the first opportunity I had to get out and to do something else, I jumped.
Got it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, good
Thank you so
question
much.
though. Thank you, thank you. Anyone else? Oh, hey, questions.
Stupid as a question.
No questions are stupid.
You mentioned trust your instincts.
Yep.
What if you don't, you don't realize your instincts, or it sometimes mixes up with feeling negative,
Yep.
you have negative thoughts, or you're just underestimating yourself. And I think that, at least in my case, I sometimes feel that in anything that I want to do, then no, I can't do that. I eventually landed up doing that,
Mm-hmm.
but I always start out with some sort of hesitation.
Yep.
Maybe because, I don't know, like when everyone was talking about their jobs, I had a rough journey, I had a very bad boss.
Mm-hmm.
So I just am a little fed up on a few fronts.
Mhm.
But when you say trust your instincts, and you do know that you want to do something, but you don't know how to do that,
Mm-hmm.
how do you deal with that?
Yeah, thank you for sharing. You voiced what's happening to a lot of people, myself included, right? So you do know that negative voice is a liar, right?
Yeah.
Know it. It's a liar. That negative voice that's like, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're a fraud, people are going to find out. It's a liar. It's a liar. It's not true. So I have to tell myself, sometimes out loud, no one's around, like, shut up, and it's because it's not that negative voice that's in all of our heads. It's a liar, and you are proof. Your life is proof that it's a lie. You are here today because that voice is a lie. So the first thing I do is tell that voice, sit down, shut up. You're a liar, right? And I say it, and I don't always believe it when I tell myself these things, to be completely transparent, but I start with that, knowing that voice, that negativity is a lie. But the problem with that little negative voice is it says just enough truth to make you doubt that it's a lie, right? There's just enough in it to make you question your ability. It's like that bad boss does. Bad bosses are terrible. Bad managers will ruin you, okay, if you let them, because they put that doubt in you. So the first thing I do is I tell the bad voice to shut up. And then the next step that I usually do, because there's a little kernel of truth somewhere, right? I zone in on that little kernel of potential truth and I analyze it. I'm doing all this in my head, right? Like I'm maybe getting a piece of paper, everybody analyzes things differently. But then I think like that little kernel of truth that's like setting in my soul that negativity is telling me, how true is it? Is it really, really true? Like I really need to get my stuff together and like, do better? Or is it just like a little bit true, or is it not true at all? Because if you zone in on that, I think that really helps put perspective around what is possible and what you can accomplish. Because if you do the research and you find out is a whole lot of truth, well, there's some work you need to start working on for yourself. Know thyself, right? If you zone in and you find it's a little bit true, well, is it something that you can fix, or is it something that you can do better next time? Maybe you didn't give that project your full attention because maybe life was crazy right then, And so, yeah, maybe it's a little true that you weren't at your 100%, but it's also true that life was a mess. Hello, 2020, right? And so are you going to like beat yourself up about that one little mistake forever when there's just a little bit true? That's not how you usually are. It was just that one moment in time, right? Or is it not true at all? Are these just your own self-doubts keeping you from achieving your greatest potential? And if you zone in and you realize like, this is just me, then that's time for you to figure out what you need to do for yourself to help you get out of that. It's not a question. That is a personal question that you have to answer. I have my ways of dealing with it. Therapy is awesome. I'm just saying. big proponent of therapy. But just because it's just nice to talk to somebody who's just there to listen to me, I'm like, really? You're just here to listen to me for everything I have to say? Awesome, right? But it also might be, like I said, like phone a friend, talking to some close confidant or your parents or your mentor, someone who can like give you that boost. Sometimes you just need a pep rally, like for you all that went to high school here in the States and I'm from Texas, so football, right? And we have these huge pep rallies to get the team all riled up, right? Sometimes you have to like get a little pep rally for yourself, and get your momentum going. But yeah, that's how I usually handle those negative thoughts. And I want you to know, and I want you to hear this, you are not alone. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Barack Hussein Obama, okay? He has that doubt. It is real. It is all of us. It comes. And anyone who says that they don't, they're lying to you and they're lying to themselves. So, yeah, let me go.
Thank you for sharing your amazing story.
Oh.
You have a wonderful career, but along the way, you may face some difficulties, some obstacles, maybe face some up and down. How do you come back? How do you stay positive and be energetic all the time? What is your mentality or your mindset?
Yeah, that's a great question. So people come to me and they say, "Oh, you're always so positive. You're always so optimistic." And I want to be like, "You think this is easy?" Like it's work to be optimistic. It's work to stay positive when you have those seeds of self-doubt, when you have that voice in your head, it's so much easier to be like, I can't do it. It's impossible. I just won't try. It's so much easier to just give up. And many people will do that. So some of the things that I tell myself, so I had another bad boss. My bad boss stories. I didn't know I was getting into all these today. I had another boss who was terrible. And every time I had to, and this might goes to your question too, every time I had to have an interaction with this boss, I would have to like psych myself up, right? Yeah. And so I'd be like, sunshines and MF rainbows, right? Sunshines and rainbows, sunshines and rainbows, right? And so every time before I talked to him, I'd be like, sunshines and rainbows, sunshines and rainbows. And I like and then it got to the point, like if I had a meeting with him, I would like draw like a sunshine and rainbows on the dry erase board just in the corner, so that when he's really getting on my nerves, I'm like, sunshine and rainbows, and like take myself to my happy place, right? I do a lot of like self-psyching out because, like I said, keeping that positivity is hard and it's work. And that's one of the things I do. Or another thing I do, like me and my friend, my best friends, we'll be talking to each other. We're like telling each other something horrible, and I'll be like, sunny side, right? And like looking for, because no matter what happens in your life, no matter what trial that you're facing, no matter what is happening with you and your family, you and your mental state, there is always another side. Sometimes the positive side. Sometimes the positive side is, I'm gonna be really good when I get through this and I'm gonna learn a lot, right? Sometimes that's the positive. This is making me a stronger person. Sometimes that's the positive, right? But a lot of times it's not that. You can usually find more things that are positive if you look for them. So I really, really work very hard, even when I'm facing very difficult situations, to like believe in the positive. Personal story. My father passed away from cancer after my first semester of law school. He was a lawyer, and he really just wanted to see me in law school, and he did. And then he passed away, and I thought, well, not I thought, that was definitely one of the biggest tragedies that I have personally experienced. I was very, very close to my father. And his death, though, helped me become closer with my mother. But through her seeing me handle that tragedy, helped her view me as an adult and do things that she couldn't do. And it has improved dramatically my relationship with my mother. And that's something so terrible, but I have this beautiful, beautiful relationship that would not have been possible had I had not gone through that tragedy at that time, you know? And if you keep looking for those gems, if you keep looking for the sunny side, you'll find it, but you got to keep searching. Yeah, thank you. That was a good question.
There is one question on Zoom.
Hey, Zoom. Who's Zooming me? Ben.
Oh, yes.
Benjamin. Hi.
Yes, I'm Benjamin. I'm actually based out of Kampala, Uganda. That's in East Africa at the moment.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. One, I like your energy and all. Like Shama earlier commented, I know it's contagious. Really, that's wonderful. The second concern is I've noticed you're into immigration law. Yes, exactly. And you are a software engineer. So there is this space I feel that somebody could solve. Ideally, yes. Ideally, there are professionals, let's say in Africa. I can speak about Africa. The professions in Africa that would like to trade their apply, let's say in probably Canada and the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But usually because the process are so long and they don't understand, they can't make it. So I feel like if somebody could build technology to be able to help them and get them through that process, would be helpful. I've seen people do it in education sort of. Yeah, so they help give them education loans and all, and then take them throughout this whole process, because for them they know their potential. So they help them, get them with no US credit history, get them into school, yes, and sort of. So I feel like that is a field I feel somebody should solve. Hopefully in the future, if I decide to solve it, I'll reach out to you. Then my question is, as an international student, you're getting into the US and you basically have zero networks. You're beginning from zero. For me, I've been doing most of it by LinkedIn. I mean, go search about somebody, reach out to them, talk to them, and all. I think USF has also helped through the USF network.
Mhm.
Yes, kind of. So I don't know what advice would you give for an international student? Are there any good societies they could join and basically, reach out and grow their network?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're joining the organizations. Like I said before, I think doing some type of, if you can find volunteer work, if you can donate your services to a smaller company that might need someone that has your skill set, who might not be able to pay you, but you can walk away with your a good portfolio of your work. That's also a really great thing. Actually, the person who did our product design was a friend of mine, and she had just gone through one of these accelerated programs as well. And she just needed a portfolio. She just needed to, we didn't have a ton of money to pay her. We paid her something, but we didn't have a ton of money to pay her. But we also gave her the opportunity. Thanks, guys. Oh, okay. So yeah, volunteer, work, and joining organizations and offering your services when you can to build your portfolio. I think that's the best way to do it. So, well, hey, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you,
being
guys.
here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'm so sorry we are.
No, it's okay. Go to class. Go to class.
There's a lot of different conflicting with the MBA.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm glad they were able to make it. So yeah, did I answer your question, Benjamin?
Yes, you did. And especially the volunteer bit is something I'd really not considered till this point. And it's good that you've shown some light on that.
Good. Good luck to you. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, you had a question. Yes, please.
Yeah, so I'm just reconnecting with the whole process now.
Did you? Awesome. I love it. Action. That's
Did you have fun?
Yeah, there's one idea. Yeah.
what did you write? Well,
Yeah.
can you share?
London or?
Yeah.
You just said you were just checking in, see how they were
Just
doing?
checking how they're doing.
Yeah.
They actually responded to a LinkedIn post. I didn't see that, so I just.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. There you go. Progress in action. I love it. I
And
love
the
it.
question was, so you spoke a lot about following your passion in terms of your career.
Mhm.
So I mean, I kind of did that when I started my career, and then I sort of started drifting away where I realized I wasn't making as much money as I hoped for.
Money.
So the two scenarios when after I graduate, if I get a job that I'm passionate about, it's not paying well, and other scenario is if I'm getting a really big job, but I'm not really passionate about the job. So what would you recommend?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for bringing up the big M, the big money question. I'm passionate about something, but I can't make any money doing it. Look, my father used to tell me this. He said, money's not real. And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean money's not real? Money is everything. I need money to do anything I want to do. And money's power. And money is I can do whatever I want, And he said, at the end of the day, if you believe in something and you put your mind and your soul and your time into it, the money will come. And now, how much money? I mean, I don't know. If you're going to run a non-for-profit agency, very small with just you're not probably going to be Elon Musk, right? But it's also about what do you need? Because you can have all the money in the world and hate what you're doing. And that is not where you want to be. That doesn't help you. It doesn't feed your soul. It doesn't help you become a better person. It just drains your energy, right? But there's a balance, right? Some people take the philosophy, like my father-in-law takes the philosophy of, I'm gonna do this job that I don't really like, but then I'm gonna do the things that I'm passionate about on the side, right? They're my extracurriculars. That was never gonna work for me because I can't do a job every day that I hate personally, but that worked for him. You know, that was a good balance. He wasn't, remember we talked about like draining your energy and feeding your energy. So if you're going to drain your energy with something that is paying you a lot of money, but you're not that passionate about, then find places to find time and energy to devote to things you are passionate about. You know, that might work, having that like dichotomy. It didn't work for me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work for some. But whatever you do, whatever you choose, don't just let the passion go away, because you kind of, to the intuition question you asked me earlier, the more that you feed it, the more that you pay attention to it, the more that it manifests. And I think that that's really important. Yeah, thank you. That was a great question.
Thank you. It's actually a great answer. Really insightful.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
I think I have one last question and then we can wrap it up.
Okay. Well, now you know.
So you were telling about how to not connect with people and how to actually, go to them and talk about themselves because they want us to know about themselves more. But I would like to know, when is the right moment when, because as an international person in the United States, I have very limited time wherein I have to find something for myself. Otherwise, I'll be kicked out of the country.
Yep.
So I cannot keep beating around the bush that, oh, that's great. This is great. I want to connect with you, this, that, and stuff. I need a job and I need it real quick. So what do you think, when is the right time wherein I can go in and tell them that, okay, we have done a lot of conversations, but now let's get to the
Yeah. Dating's over. Shut up or shut up. Let me, before I answer your question, I'm going to ask you a question. Put yourself in their shoes. I understand your shoes. I understand your motivation and the things that are prompting you. But if you're on the other side of that, how does that make you feel?
Maybe the person is just using me for this particular.
That is usually the first place. So I understand you're saying, it's kind of like, I'm not going to use that analogy, so let me think of a better one. What was that? What was your example?
I don't know if you want to.
I just said in English, what he's saying is he's asking, so when should we go to second base?
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, all right, I'm not, thank you. Thank you. Exactly, right? It's like, all right, that's enough dating. Okay, I bought you that dinner. Hey, girl. Like, it doesn't really work that way. And that's why I say it's really important to think about networking. Networking is not asking people for jobs. That is not what it is. So if you take that off the table and you say 100% that is not what it is, then you don't feel that expectation to get there.
Got it.
Right? Network is building relationships. And relationships pay off in ways that you don't always expect.
Right.
There's so many times when I will meet someone and then like build that relationship, and then not that first job, maybe it's like 5 years later where they happen to be talking to someone who I'm interviewing with who's like, oh yeah, Hana, she's awesome. Right? So it's not the short game. The short game, I understand you have a very serious thing that you're trying to accomplish, right? I understand that, and I'm sensitive to that. But we're not playing the short game. Your life is the long game. You know, you're contributing, and some relationships will pay off. Some people get to second base, and some don't.
I just not for representation, be bold.
Be bold. You know, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. When you have to feel it out, but generally when I'm networking, I will let them know if it makes sense in the course of the conversation and we have this rapport about my situation. You do want, one of the things about networking is you do want to let people know that you are generally about your situation, but saying like, when they say, when you're like, tell me about you, and they're like, well, tell me about you. Like, well, I'm a student and, I'm looking to do something and this and that, right? But they prompted you. You didn't go to them and say, yo, put up. So that's what I would say. I would say change the chip on what you think networking is, because it's not about getting a job. But also your emotional intelligence. That's another thing that I should have put on my slide about lessons learned. Emotional intelligence is huge. And knowing and feeling and vibing and understanding when something is appropriate, it's a feeling you get. And it's something you have to fine tune. If you don't have a very high emotional IQ, work on it. Work on it. Read the books, listen to the podcast, talk to the people, someone who you feel does do really well in that. And but yeah, it's kind of something you have to fill out. But don't think of networking. Networking is not asking someone for a job. So when are you going to get to that? It just shouldn't. It doesn't come up.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thank you everyone out in Zoom land, and thank you everyone here. It was a pleasure.